Inside this box is a guitar that I've been wanting to check out for close to 20 years. Now, I think it came out in the early to mid 2000s. I want to say like 2003, 2004, 2005, somewhere in there. I remember I was fresh out of college. I barely had any money to my name, just dirt poor, straight out of college. And I was spending a ton of time cruising around on sites like Rondo.com, where this came from. It's an SX, as you can see. Rondo.com is the sole retailer for SX guitars, as far as I'm aware. Inside here is what I think was one of the very earliest, like, budget-friendly offset Surfy guitars available on the market. It's offset, it's got single coil pickups, it has an offset vibrato. And believe it or not, that was very, very unusual and rare during that time. I think Squier didn't come out with a version of the Jazzmaster. It was the 2010s. I think 2012, 2013, something like that, with the vintage modified, and then followed up with the classic vibe stuff, and then all sorts of other variations of Jazzmasters and Jaguars and whatnot. But I can't remember. I was actually asking Steve this before pressing record. If there was a Squier Jazzmaster with an offset vibrato previous to the vintage modified Jazzmaster that came out in 2012, I think so. The contents of this box existed unchallenged by Squier for 8 years, 7 years, 9 years maybe, depending on when these came out. So anyways, I'm gonna stop flapping my gums. Let's get it open to see what we've got here. You already know because of the title and the thumbnail, obviously. I can't keep any secrets from you guys. But I thought it would be fun to build anticipation and tell a story, make it feel personal, because it is personal. I've been wanting to try one of these. I've been wanting to check these out for so long. By the time I had the podcast and the YouTube channel and everything, the Squiers were out, and that was the, the object of my fixations. An unfortunate side effect of choosing to make guitar product demos your primary source of income, the way you make a living, is that you don't often get to cover stuff that doesn't pay bills. And this is not paying bills unless it just really blows up for some reason. A 20-year-old budget guitar is just gonna blow up the internet, and I might make a couple $100 from YouTube ad revenue. It's much, much more likely they'll make $15 to $40. But yeah, I bought this guitar. It wasn't sent to me. I've never had any professional contact with SX or Rondo.com or anything like that. I am using Patreon money, Patreon funds, to fund this video. So if you want to support me making videos with products that weren't sent to me with a demo fee attached, you can support this channel on Patreon. There are links down below. But let's keep going. I could rant about that forever, and you guys don't want to hear that. It comes with a gig bag. I actually was not expecting that. It feels like a very thin, only slightly padded gig bag. Here we go. I don't have the overhead camera on, so you'll just have to wait for the moment of truth here. Really well padded up. Here is the invoice. $234 out the door. That is shipping included. That is what we're dealing with here. A $234 guitar. I really like this bubble padding that they have. I like that a lot better than getting a box that's full of like the molded styrofoam. Cool. There's the wiggle stick, the headstock, I'm really undressing this slow, building the anticipation. You can already see it. You can already see that it's got a funky body shape. There we go. Oh, it has a smell. It smells like gasoline, but not just gasoline. It smells like pouring gasoline into a lawnmower on a Saturday morning. That's honestly an incredibly unique smell. It doesn't smell like spilling gas on your shoe at the gas station. It smells like pouring it out of a red gas bucket into your lawnmower, and there's pollen and grass in the air and all the old grass that's fermented on the lawnmower because you don't take care of it and you don't wash it off. Might as well get the wiggle stick out of here before we take a close look at what we have. Is it going to be floppy? Oh, it's a screw-in. Interesting. It's not a push-in, it's a screw-in. Most offset trims have a push-in thing. I don't know if that's going to be ideal, because it doesn't go tight until right there, and it's because it's pushing against the edge of that connection. Oh, ooh, I don't... Okay. I'm going to have to figure out how to address this. It's got limp wiggle stick syndrome. I'm going to pull it out for the time being. Maybe a good wrap of Teflon tape will get that more solid in there. We're off to the races. I'm getting some real impressions here with this thing. Got a Tune-o-matic style roller bridge on here. 3 P90 pickups. This wild tail shape, this Cadillac kind of tail fin going on with this body shape. Such a unique guitar to come out in the mid-2000s as, from what I can remember, the only offset budget guitar that was on the market at the time. Maybe there was something else that I can't remember. This one came with a crack at the neck, which is a common issue with Fender style guitar builds. You get cracks around the neck joint, but to see one come out of the factory brand new like that, it shouldn't be surprising for a $234 guitar. But I don't think I've ever encountered that from any budget guitar I've covered so far. Cracks in the neck heel right off the bat. Glossy finish on the neck. Feels like a fairly full neck. It's not huge and fat, but it's not any sort of slim modern neck. Sealed tuners. VTG series. I don't remember any of the specs. This feel. I don't remember any of the material specs, but this feels like a synthetic bone nut. I could be wrong on that. I'll flash the correct information up on the screen. 5-way switch? Yep, 5-way switch. I wonder if it's going to be like Strat wiring, where you can have 2 P90s uncanceling each other. I don't know if I've ever experienced that with a 3 P90 guitar. Maybe I have with some Gibson that I'd picked up at NAMM or something like that. Volume and tone, output jack on the face. The color looks really nice. And it doesn't look like a super high-end version of a Seafoam, but it's plenty pretty and colorful enough. Oh man. They're just screwing stuff down too tight. There's cracking in the finish around the neck plate there. Good thing this isn't a paid demo, right? I'd be dragging a company for sending me stuff with cracks in it, which I would absolutely totally do, even if this was a paid demo. I do the same thing in all my videos, no matter what. Some of you aren't going to believe me, and that's fine. I believe me, and that's what matters, right? My friend Hugh, who's the guy who's been helping me behind the scenes with that guitar being made, he is one of the reasons I bought this thing, he was telling me how much he loves his and how unique it is and how it has certain features that are compelling to him. And one of the features is that he claims that this distance from the trim to the bridge is longer than that on a standard Jazzmaster. So I want to measure that real quick and check to see if that's still true, because he has an older model one. So I'm getting 4 7/8 worth of string play from the bridge to the trim. They might have updated it. It looks like it's the same measurement on the Jazzmaster. Or maybe he was comparing to a different Jazzmaster style guitar. I don't know. I know that Fender has had a few Jazzmasters where the trim is moved closer up to the bridge. I'll have to check the measurements on what I'm doing on that ERT. I think I did pretty standard Jazzmaster spacing on it, but I'll play around with it. You know I'm gonna strum behind the bridge. Let's plug it in and see what it sounds like. Still need to address this sound wiggle stick situation because I want to try the wiggle stick. It's part of the whole reason to get an offset guitar like this. So a big trick that I like to employ for Strat style screw-in wiggle stick arms is I like to wrap the threads in plumber's Teflon tape, and it just gives enough tension to hold it in place and make it nice and firm. I'm giving it an extra generous wrap here just to make sure. But a roll of this stuff is like $1.25 at your local hardware store, and one roll will probably last you a decade. Easily. Just keep it in your guitar case, keep it with your stuff. I might have gone a little bit too aggressive. Now it won't fit. Get in there. There we go. I don't know if it's having much effect. It's just going to be a... Wow. Okay, so right off the bat, because that's still droopy, I'm going to have to replace the vibrato on this to get the performance that I want out of this guitar. Because I like my arm to stay in place. All right, let's tune it up. Yeah, that vibrato's got to go. It's clanking too. I don't like that. It tuned up really nice and easy. The tuners feel smooth. Not jumpy at all. I wasn't hearing any pinging or tinging across the nut or the bridge as it's tuning it up. Action feels higher than I like to have it. Yeah, big feeling neck. Really fills my hand. I'm not sure if I like it yet or not. I think I need to spend some time dialing in the guitar to really have an opinion in that direction. The ends of the frets feel fine, especially for a $234 guitar. I'm not getting any biting. I do feel the frets. They're not a hyper premium fret, but you wouldn't expect that. They could be a little bit smoother around those edges, but they're fine. We'll see if I find any dead spots as I play. Really nice fret axis, can go all the way up. Right around there is where I would normally expect to find dead frets, and I'm not finding them. Of course, the action, like I said, is higher than I would dial in for myself. Not crazy high, but yeah, I could bring that in a bit. number 2 position, which sounds hum canceling. Yep. 2 P90s on at the same time as a bridge pickup. Let's try going through all the pickups. There is the bridge. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm running through the 2 Princetons. Oh, people would have been so upset if I'd forgotten that. I mean, the vibrato seems to function. But that screw-in situation, it's got to go. Maybe this will end up being a hyper upgrade. Bucket apart situation by the time I'm done with it. I have a really nice aftermarket vibrato I could throw in here. The Descendant vibrato. That'd be fun, right? I could do crazy things with the pickups. Swap the pickups out. Of course, I might like the pickups. I might not want to swap them out. Here is the number 2 position again. Sounds kind of nice. It's glassy, it's bright, it's twangy. It's hum-free. This is the middle position. Oh. What was that? Really not used to that wiggle stick disappearing on me like that. Number 4 position. Nice and smooth sounding. That's the number 4 position. Got kind of a soulful jazzy thing going on there. Here is the neck pickup. Oh, that's it. That's the bridge pickup. Wide variety of sounds there. Let's try with some reverb. Let's see if it surfs. I'm not a huge fan of P90s for surf guitar. They're just a bit too much of a blunt object. They don't have that sweet kind of like syrupy character that you get from a Jazzmaster pickup, or that kind of bright punchy jangle that you get from a Strat pickup. They're their own beast. They're kind of like, they always feel like a single coil that dreams of being a humbucker to me. Just a bit more of that mid punch, a bit more heft to the output, not quite that more delicate sort of character that you get out of other single coils. But I've been wrong before. Maybe I'll love these as a surf pickup. time for a fresh tune, which shouldn't be a surprise. In fact, considering it just came out of the box, and I am abusing that wiggle stick a little bit surprised in how well it's holding tuning stability so far. All right, here we go. Something about the setup, the string height, especially on the higher strings up near the first and second, third frets, I'm really getting hung up on it right around here. So I need to lower the bridge on that side, or maybe tweak the truss or something. I'm gonna have to do a setup on this guitar to get it playing the way that I like a guitar to feel. Yeah, I'm fighting it quite a bit there. Here is the number 2 position. I like these blended P90 sounds. That actually sounds kind of nice. Not as bright as I would like. I mean, there's plenty of brightness on the bridge. Still, it doesn't have that spaghetti western kind of like ice pick into the brain sort of brightness that you get from like a Jaguar or Jazzmaster on the bridge position. I think it's plenty bright enough for most people. I bet this has 500K pots in it, maybe 250s. Swapping pots could push it into that super bright spaghetti western tonality. I'll end up opening this up in a later video, and I'm sure we're gonna get into mods with it. All right, where was I? Decent sustain from it. Not bad for a clean setting. That was the number 2. Here's the middle. Glassy. Number 4. Dark and jazzy. And the neck. Yeah, not bad. It sounds good. It sounds like some nice P90s. Is it microphonic at all? Let's throw on a fuzz and see if I can sing through it. Hey, use the leg. Hey, 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 yeah. Hey. Yeah. It is a little bit microphonic. I'll find out later if that's a huge issue for me. I have no idea what it's gonna play there. There's actually some pretty nice behind the bridge strumming sounds there. Sounds musical. I'm gonna have to make some finer measurements here to figure out if Hugh had a point. Is this actually different? Quick comparison. It kind of does have a more pleasing behind the bridge sound. I don't know if it's a pitch difference or just a tonality difference. Maybe it's just in my head, I don't know. I think it does actually sound better. It has like a more harpy vibe to it. There's some bright sounds. Dialing in the perfect pickup selection for strumming behind the bridge. That's interesting. Something to explore on this guitar. By the way, I am using the Source Audio True Spring Reverb. I'll have a link down below if you're interested in getting drippy. It's one of the few digital spring reverb pedals that I recommend for certain guitar sounds. It's a very small group of pedals that I recommend at this point. Of course, you can do whatever you want, find your own sounds. That's just what I like. That middle pickup barks. I've fallen out of tune. Let's try it with some dirt. I've got that Pause and Effects Thiasa, I forget how to say the name, pedal down here. I like that number 2 setting with the dirt. It's got just the right amount of clarity and bite. Time will tell how I feel about the pickups. They seem to function. They sound decent right now in the moment. I was able to detect some microphonic qualities to them, but I didn't hear any chirping or squealing. I'm not very, very loud right now. I'm louder than I usually run. I had the amps up the other day. I wasn't getting any feedback. Let me just stack some drives and see what happens. Yeah, no pickup feedback. That was string feedback when I let go of the string. So they seem to be fine. That shouldn't be an issue unless I get it into a loud scenario and find out that it is an issue. My biggest issues with this guitar though. First of all, I'm gonna have to address. Whoa, whoa. Ah, oh. Oh. Oh, that was a bad idea. Jeez. Did it look cool? Was that a fun transition? Was it worth it editing, Ryan? Please don't tell me it was worth it. Yikes, I'm too old for that. I'm too old to spin into a video. All right. Hey everyone, I'm the version of Ryan that exists 3 days after the version of Ryan that you've been watching in the main body of this video. And I'm back. I decided I needed to get in front of the camera to redo my final thoughts on this guitar, on the SX Liquid here, to do my final overview of what I think about this guitar. After doing, a basic setup on it over the weekend and spending some time doing some personal playing and whatnot, I dialed in the action to be quite a bit better. It's a lot faster now, a lot more comparable to how I like all my guitars to be set up. I dialed in the intonation only slightly, just a little bit, just to be a little bit of a perfectionist. I even extra wrapped the wiggle stick here with more Teflon tape to get it staying in place. It's one of those things where as I use it, it'll start to droop more and more. I'm really looking forward to getting a look underneath here to see what's going on, to see if I can address that issue in a better way. But after doing all those things, I discovered a new quality control issue. A quality control issue definitely big enough that I needed to press record again to show it to you guys. And I noticed it because after I did my setup and I was playing it, I encountered this issue. On the low E string, it's just really, really super easy to accidentally roll it off the fretboard. It takes almost no pressure at all. All the way across the fretboard, even like on the second fret. So I used one of my most important detective tools. One of the most important detective tools in my detective toolbox. My eyes! I looked at the guitar and I realized, holy hell, the neck is on crooked. That's a major issue. And it's a huge bummer too. It's easily fixed. I know I'm gonna be able to remedy this. All I'm gonna have to do is loosen up the neck plate and rotate the neck up just a little bit and then crank it down tight with the neck where I want it to be. Maybe if I'm feeling really ambitious, I'll shove a little piece of paper in there as a shim to make it sit flush against the inside of that neck pocket. But it's a bummer to discover these QC issues on what is otherwise a really fun guitar that has some really fun features and unique features as well. And it just really feels like whatever was going on with the necks being bolted onto the guitar was just being done way too fast and way too aggressive. Whoever was doing it was not taking their time. And we've got the crack in the neck joint here and the crack along the neck plate because it was just cranked down way too hard. Someone was just slapping this neck on and just and then passing it along, not looking at what they had done. Which is a huge bummer because over the weekend I've discovered that I actually really like this guitar and I'd like to be able to fully confidently recommend it to people. But with QC issues like that, like you guys have to be aware. I have to make you aware of those things. It's part of the journey of this guitar. And you know, it is normal to find QC issues on guitars at this price point. It's a $200 guitar. It got to me $234 after shipping and taxes and stuff like that. There's a lot of $200 guitars that I've covered that I can't remember any of them coming with crooked necks. All sorts of other issues over the years. Fret issues, pickup issues, truss rod issues. Remember that guitar where the truss rod was broken and it was buzzing inside the neck and I couldn't get it to stay in tune for anything? Like I've encountered all sorts of issues on like guitars in the $200 to $300 price range. It just happens. It's part of the deal. But to have a neck crooked, that's a new one. And to have the finish cracked around the neck joint and the neck plate, it's a bummer. So yeah, let's keep that in mind. I'm going to pitch this as a project starter. I think this is a fun guitar. It has a lot of good qualities. I'm going to treat it as a project starter. I'm going to open this thing up. I'm going to probably replace this trim unit unless there's a really clear way to address the droopy wiggle stick syndrome. I'm going to straighten the neck, obviously. I might even explore different pickups in this guy. The pickups sound great. They're totally fine. I just kind of wish I had a brighter, shriller, more spaghetti western, twangy sort of option on the bridge. Something that I did notice that is worth pointing out is that the bridge pickup is not in the standard position that you would find on, say, like a standard Fender offset style guitar. That this is clearly, trying to model in some ways. The bridge pickup is further away from the actual bridge, meaning that it's going to be darker, warmer, fuller sounding. You're not going to get that bright, nasty twang out of it. Also, it's a P90, which is it's just going to have a different voice. It's going to be darker. It's going to be barkier. It's going to have this mid push to it instead of that kind of more hollow, twangy, kind of like thin, brittle sound that I'm used to. So I might explore some different bridge pickup options here. Who knows? Maybe I'll put a different pickup in each slot and just mangle it. Do some weird, unholy, unorthodox things to this guitar. Maybe weird wiring, kill switches, maybe. Who knows? When I open this thing up, I'll start exploring the possibilities. But yeah, those QC issues are absolutely a bummer. But then you have to balance it against the fact that where else are you gonna get a guitar that looks like this? This body shape is a lot of fun. I had it sitting on my couch over the weekend and I just kept catching myself as I walked by it, just like looking over my shoulder like, that's a fun looking guitar. I like looking at that guitar. And now that I have here like in my hands and I've been playing it and getting used to it, I really like the feel of this tail fin on it. Like it's really ergonomic having this big fin to rest my arm on. It's honestly kind of functional. It's a goofy look, in a way, a very outlandish look, but it's got its own personality, it's got its own character. The tuners on here are great, especially for a $200 guitar. They're nice and smooth and firm. I've encountered tuners on guitars $100 more expensive than this that are not as good as these tuners. The nut is cut really nicely. Since getting the Teflon tape on there, I'm not having any like outlandish or surprising tuning stability issues. Yeah, I'm having the tuning stability issues that you would expect on a normal offset with an offset trim. I have to tune every now and then. It's not a big deal, but it seems like for the most part, it's really, really tuning stable. It's not bulletproof, but it's really, really tuning stable. Much more tuning stable than I expected it to be. The roller bridge seems to be really good quality. When I was dialing in the intonation, all the screws moved nice and smooth. Nothing was getting caught up or giving me any issues. I think the pickups sound great. They're P90s. I discovered a little bit of microphonic qualities to them, but they weren't feeding back in a microphonic way, which is really the barrier for me. On a loud stage, maybe that would change. The color looks great. I don't know, there's a lot to like about this guitar, and I see now why they were kind of like mod platform darlings 20 years ago when I was first looking at these, and for what, the 7 or 8 years where they existed before there were regular Jazzmasters coming out of the Squier factories. I get it. I'm bummed about the QC, but I get it. I think this is a fun guitar. I think it's a valid guitar. I think I can recommend it with the caveat, with the asterisk, that it's a $200 guitar. And you should not be surprised. You shouldn't expect, you should never expect QC issues, but you shouldn't be surprised by them. I think that if I was just a normal consumer in this situation, I might be returning this guitar. I'm not going to, because I want to take it on a journey. I'm going to, just ride with the situation. I'm going to make it into the guitar I want it to be. I'm documenting those issues as part of what I do on this channel. I'm not going to return it. But I could absolutely see a consumer being bummed out by those cracks, being bummed out by the crooked neck, and wanting to return it. But yeah, everything else about it, I can check off on. I mean, I'm not in love with the screw-in nature of the wiggle stick, but it's not uncommon to swap out trims for your preferred trim. It's not the most expensive mod in the world either. You can get, off the shelf, like Squier style vibratos for like $30 or something like that, if I remember correctly. I'm probably gonna throw something expensive in here that's worth more than the whole guitar because I have it in a drawer, so I might as well be using it. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? What do you think about this guitar now that I've showed you the issues, now that I've played it, now that I've told you all my collected thoughts on it? I'm curious to know what everyone thinks. Make suggestions for modifications. What do you think I should do? I'm thinking about maybe putting a coil splittable like mini bucker in one of those adapter rings here. I could, if I wanted to get really crazy, remove wood and mount the pickup further down. If I wanted to get really, really gritty, do like a rat rod thing where like the aesthetics don't matter. I'm just gonna like chisel wood and do functional modifications. And however it looks is however it looks. I'm excited. I like this guitar. I'm having fun with it. I'm excited to have a project. So, like I said earlier in the video, this video is made possible by the Patreons. If you want me to do more of that, if you want me to get more guitars, more pedals, things like that, stuff that you want to see covered that isn't, officially promoted, that those brands aren't sending out to demo channels, let me know in the comments. I mean, obviously let me know by supporting us on Patreon. And other than that, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, dislike, leave me rude and nasty comments. Support us on Patreon. Buy a shirt if you're naked. Remind me to never spin in a video ever again. And stay grounded. Bye, everybody.